The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Quirky Dog Podcast, inspired by some of the quirkiest dogs you can ever imagine, and the owners who love them. This podcast is brought to you by the quirky couple themselves, Scott and Jess Williams. Their aim is to educate and entertain. Here's Scott and Jess.
Welcome, guys, and happy Wednesday. We are coming to you live from Salem, New Hampshire, and we have a special guest with us today. Her name is Nancy Dewar, and she has created the Seacoast Bark magazine. It's been in publishing for 3 years, and we just love it. We advertise in it. We wanted to have her on to talk about it today. But first, we're going to start with the quirky tip of the day. All right, my quirky tip is right in the same vein as that magazine. If you live, I would say, from like Kittery, Maine to Newburyport, Massachusetts, which I know a lot of people listen, nationwide and worldwide, and we appreciate all of our listeners. But if you happen to live in that area of the country and you're not already looking at Seacoast Bark, check it out. They're often like at Hannaford's and a lot of different places that you can just grab one. And it's super cute material, great advertising, tons of dogs that make us happy. So if you're not familiar with Seacoast Bark, seek them out. And you may even see a little ad from Scott and Jess in there, because we started advertising.
If you have an online dog business, this would be a good magazine no matter where you live in the country.
That's true. You can reach anybody. So Nancy, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. It's great to be with you.
We have her cute little beardy flip-flop here. She's on the ground. She's in our YouTube thumbnail, but she's 12, so she's just chilling on the ground at the podcast studio.
A little too big to have on the counter with us.
and too old.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us a little bit about how this kind of came to be, this whole vision.
Well, the magazine started on the Seacoast 3 years ago.
Okay.
But I actually started my first magazine in Montana.
Okay.
I had moved out to Whitefish, Montana, and was doing freelance writing for a magazine out there, and thought, why don't I start my own magazine about dogs?
Was that the Grand Teton Bark?
It was Big Sky Bark? No, it was 406 Bark, because that's the area code for the whole big state.
Oh, cute.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I did that for 2 years,
Okay.
and then desperately missed the Seacoast. So moved back here 4 years ago and started Seacoast
So it was
Bark.
a similar method out there.
Yeah. Basically the same format and everything, just different articles about the Seacoast.
Well, and one thing I like, and for anyone who wants to have some sort of dog magazine that lives in a more specialized area like you do, is the way you get your advertisers. Because everybody in the magazine, it's not like a non-dog person would pick it up and not have any benefit there, because there's window people advertising, there's people advertising, but it has a dog theme throughout the whole thing, which just makes it fun to look at.
Thanks. It's interesting because I would say like 80% of our advertisers have nothing to do with the pet category, but they know that pet lovers buy every good and service.
Yes, and it has good circulation, your magazine. So
Yes.
I like that aspect of it a lot. And of course, it's way more fun to leaf through than, some freaking, I don't even know what the trashy magazines are anymore that you read during pedicures, but it's way more fun to look at because there's just dogs on every page.
Well, it's fun too, Jess. I hear often people are like, oh my God, we love to read the ads because they have dogs in them. And who likes to read ads? Really?
But good for advertisers. No, we personally, this is the only print advertising Scott and I have done probably in 3 years easily.
Yeah, we don't typically do a lot of print advertising.
Yeah, because our online stuff has just been, brought up so much, and we've gotten a lot of nice direct response from it, and people like it. It's more of an intimate
That's why we keep
reader.
doing it.
Thank you. I'm glad you're part of our pack.
But it's more of an intimate reader, I feel like. It's not one of those things that, they are looking forward to the next issue. They're looking forward to what's going on. And then do you have one big story in the magazine? I'm not sure how you do it.
We usually have an animal lover profile article, and then we do some sort of feature story, and then we have some standard ones, like we do Match.dog, How I Met My True Love.
Oh, cute.
We do a Let's Potty page with recipes tied in with a local Italian restaurant.
Okay.
So those are our standard ones, and then we
It's called Let's Potty?
Potty. Let's potty. Yeah. And then we have an old black lab named Walter that writes Walter's Words of Wisdom.
Oh, cute.
And he's actually one of our advertisers' dogs. So we have, special articles each issue, and then some standard ones every time too.
Yeah. Do you want to go back to the party thing? I feel like you have a question.
Well, no, you get the Massachusetts accent in there for.
Oh, yeah,
to
let's
help with-
party.
I was thinking like P-O-T-T-Y.
Yeah, I know. We do need to clarify. Yeah. For everybody.
It's a potty training, and here's a recipe.
I knew we needed
That
to
would
clarify.
be the training one. Let's party.
Outside.
Yeah, but it's party, but it's New England party.
It's PAW. Let's party. Oh, my God.
And then, how many do you do a year? Because I know you're not every month, right?
We're bi-monthly, so
Okay.
it's 6 issues per year.
Okay.
Yep.
And that seems to work out pretty well for you and your schedule and everything.
Getting it together. Probably it's a lot of work getting it together,
Well,
right?
it's pretty much a one-man band. I do have a few freelance writers, but I pretty much do everything. And so I mean, there have been times when I've actually written a magazine in 4 days because I was down to the wire. So anything's possible.
Yeah.
So how many do you print per publication?
We do 7,000, and when it first started, I actually distributed all of them myself. It was exhausting.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, these heavy boxes. So now I have a distribution company that distributes other newspapers on the Seacoast.
Did you see a lot of difference during COVID with anything, or everything moved pretty seamlessly, or how did it work
What
for you?
happened with COVID is we did lose a few advertisers, so we reduced the page count.
Okay.
And
Right.
so we have just fewer pages, and but people are coming back on board now. So
Yeah, no, I mean,
It's-
I really, we've tried things like this in the past, and not only have we seen direct response, but we enjoy the magazine ourselves, and we've even found, I was telling Nancy, some other podcast guests locally that we've had on just because we learned about them through the magazine.
Yeah.
We didn't know about them until
Yeah.
we learned through Seacoast Bark, so it's a cool concept.
that's great. Well, what's different is what I always say to people, potential advertisers. We don't write about like dogs and fleas and dog, ticks. We write lifestyle stories about people and the connection with animals.
And that's what people like to read about.
Yeah, and it's funny. I also have people that really don't like dogs. I mean, they're not big dog people, and they're like, we love reading the magazine because they like reading about the people that they've heard about or know of.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's that lifestyle aspect.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, just from a business marketing perspective, even if you don't like dogs within your same business, a lot of people own dogs. So it's good advertising to hit the dog people. I mean,
So if you have a business but you don't have a dog, give us a call. We'll rent you a dog for the picture.
that is true. How does that happen? Do you come up with a lot of pictures? Like, are you building a lot of ads for people?
Yeah, when I make sales calls,
Yeah.
generally I will have an ad concept put
Yeah.
together, something around dogs.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we do with all of our clients, and we've done this with you guys too, is we give them extra editorial. Whether we did an article about you guys called "I Love My Job."
Yeah.
So we like to really make it a win-win for everybody.
Do you have any carpet cleaners in there?
You know what? We don't.
I can't believe it. That means
Scott's going to want his carpet cleaning commission
Everybody
now.
I see with potty training problems, they need a carpet cleaner.
We do. We don't have it, and we also should have a flooring company in there
Yeah.
for best hardwood floors
Yeah.
for dog owners. Sort
Well,
of thing.
the market, I mean, it's really endless. Outside of like you're saying, she's all excited.
Okay.
Outside of like you're saying with the pet products, and you're not just advertising toys and everything else, but it really is true. Like, people are making decisions. I saw the statistic: millennials are actually like buying houses based on what the needs for their dogs are right now,
They are.
because they're not everybody's having kids right away. Some people aren't having kids at all. Like, life decisions are truly being driven by the animals that we live for and care for and add to our pack and everything else.
You make that sound unusual. I mean,
Well, for us,
our
we're
lives have
used
been like
to
that
that
for
yeah.
years.
I've been doing that for 30 years, but no, the difference is that just, I don't mean to be rude, but like lay people, just normal pet people that aren't living, breathing, training, competing with dogs, like just making dogs their lifeblood, they still are making decisions based on what would be most comfortable for their animal.
And they're designing bathrooms, like shower
Exactly.
rooms and bathrooms
Yes,
for
with
the dogs.
bathing tubs and everything.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Get on board.
Yeah, and wallpaper with dogs on it, and shower curtains with dogs on them.
Well, you sound like you've been to our house already. Jess has all these ceramic tiles in the bathroom with dogs sitting on the
do?
toilet, all different breeds.
No.
They're my
yeah.
potty dogs. They're like little friends in the bathroom.
But it's P-O-T-T-Y. in that case.
Yeah.
not like my potty dogs.
Yeah, not the New England party. So what's something that you've learned through all of this that maybe surprised you, or that it has evolved? Like, what's a takeaway that you've had, or maybe a difference between doing it out here versus Montana?
Well, I guess I would say I have lived on the Seacoast for 25 years, but I was always doing freelance marketing, kind of an independent entrepreneur, and not really involved in the community that much. The people I have met through this magazine, and especially in this time when
It's hard
there's
to
so
meet
much-
people, yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much negative stuff going around. I have met the finest people in the world.
Yeah.
Through my advertisers, my clients, and through the people I write articles about.
Yeah.
I mean, it really makes you feel good about people.
Just that like human connection.
That
almost.
connection.
Yeah.
Yep. We did a story on one little girl. She's from somewhere in Massachusetts, and for her 12-year-old, I guess, bar mitzvah project, she decided that she was going to raise money for the shelters around up northern Mass, and her goal was $12,000. $2,500. She ended up raising over $12,000.
That's amazing.
With her project. Has since then started a nonprofit, so she's now like 17.
Wow.
She's raised over $90,000.
That's amazing.
As a 12-year-old kid, I mean, people are doing amazing things.
Yeah.
I guess I was a loser as a kid.
Yeah, I was just drinking beer and smoking dope.
I know.
Well, this is the problem with all you
sneaking out of the
Seacoasters.
house.
Were you a big dog person before you started the it was the 406 Bark?
Yeah.
Were you a big?
Yes.
You've always been a dog
yeah,
person.
Yeah, my family called me the finder when I was little. I'd bring every stray dog and stray cat in the world home.
And
So,
now you have a Beardy.
I have a Beardy.
And her former, we were talking about this before we started, her former Beardy, Nancy's Beardy before this one, Flip Flop, is actually on the cover. What was this one's name?
Moose Muffin.
Moose Muffin is on the cover of this this issue, and she's so cute right on the beach there.
Was that a Montana dog?
No, she was a rescue from Maine, and I found her in Uncle Henry's magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they said I was going up to rescue a purebred Lhasa Apso. And she was about this tall and had a little bunny tail and built like a little brick shit house. And I'm like, there was no curly tail. I'm like, I have no idea what this dog is, but she sure ain't a Lhasa. And she was a great dog. Great dog.
Another good magazine connection for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Have you are you thinking about expanding this into more area, or
Well,
you like the size of it right now?
Scott, before COVID hit, my goal, and I haven't abandoned it, but it's been shelved for now, was to license it. Where you would go into, it would be a licensing agreement and help people set up their own regional magazines. And initially, I started working on Boston Bark, which would have been my second publication. But the more I got into it, I really believe the next one that would make sense would be North Shore Bark or Maine Coast Bark.
Yeah.
I think smaller.
The niche,
The communities.
Yeah.
I think.
White Mountain Bark.
Yeah.
That's a good one, honey.
Yeah.
God, we got to start writing these
I'm
down.
ready
You
to go.
got to listen back with a notepad to this episode.
Sarasota Bark, but the big cities like Boston, it's too, it's just too big. I think. I think you need the local community.
Yes.
So,
And probably not as much of that personal connection with your clients then the bigger you get.
I don't think so. I think it
You
would
know,
be really hard in a
it's-
major metro area.
For us, we've seen it too, honestly, Nancy, because we started when Scott first moved here. He was on the North Shore, and then we were in like a Boston suburb, and then we moved, north to a northern Mass suburb near the New Hampshire coastline, and now we are in Maine, and I would say our clients, the clients that we're seeing are more in line with our values when we start. The dogs are a little more, I don't know, well-rounded maybe or something. I would say
They
like
grow up with
Better
outdoor.
behaved.
They're in nature.
Yeah, potentially. Like, they're being raised like going to York Beach rather than just in apartments in Boston. Like for
Or
us,
doggy
it's changed
daycare.
also. Yes, yes, and everything's changed a bit. So we have seen that ourselves also. But it's fascinating, the whole business and dogs colliding, because it can be profitable for a lot of different people, and you don't just have to be selling pee pads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's one of my first advertisers was my restaurant Massimo's in Portsmouth. I don't know if you guys have been there, but an Italian restaurant. And Massimo, the owner, he said to me, like after the first couple issues came out, he's like, Nancy, I have advertised in hundreds of places over the years, and he's like, never once has anyone mentioned any of my advertising.
Oh, really?
Until I went in Seacoast Bark.
Oh,
and he's like, people
that's
come in
awesome.
all the time and say,
Yeah.
oh, I saw you in Seacoast Bark. And I hear that a lot.
Yeah. Well, and now we
So-
got a good restaurant to go to in Portsmouth for the
it's
weekend. This is
fabulous.
great. All right, we're going to
excited.
go to break super quick, and when we get back, we're going to chat more about dogs and magazines.
Does your dog lack self-control? Are you looking for some answers? Would you like your dog to be calmer? Does your dog lack confidence? Canine Mindshift. Enroll in a free course today. Simply go to caninemindshift.com. That's caninemindshift, quirkydogbreed.com.
All right, we're having fun. We're chatting and we're drinking out of our custom tumblers. This is fun.
Yay.
All right. So, honey, am I missing anything as far as this goes, business perspective, or what
Well,
you're
you don't
thinking?
have to pick up any dog poop in this business. That's kind of nice.
Scott's leaving me and going to work with Dan.
You talk about all dog stuff, but you don't have to deal with the grooming and the potty.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
And your dog
Nice.
Flip-Flop is kind of like the face of the business in a certain way, as far as at least the Instagram presence.
Yeah, just probably because I'm too lazy to. It's just easy to do her pictures.
Yeah. Well, and
really.
she's very well behaved. She's laying here at Nancy's feet, nice and calm here in the podcast studio. And
she writes her own column called
good.
Flips and Flops.
Oh, that's cute.
Things she likes and
I
things
gotta
she
start really
doesn't.
reading through the magazine, not just looking at pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, we just look at our ad. Yeah, there it is.
All right, Jack,
Okay,
we're all set. No, well, we did read some articles. Like I said, that's how we found Jeremy with Boston Dog Lawyers. And it is there are interesting and unique things built around the pet industry that people don't realize until they do a little bit of digging, and it is fascinating. We get these dogs now and we just spoil them rotten, or maybe we push them around in strollers in Boston, but it is fascinating how functional dogs can be in our world and how much they can fill voids and help people through times. And really, I mean, they're amazing. I mean, man's best friend, that's not some phrase that's been lost over the last, few decades.
Well, pre-COVID, Flip-Flop and I would go to, it's the Webster and Rye, a nursing home up in Rye. We went every Wednesday afternoon from 3 to 4 to see her peeps.
Yeah.
And we would go in the Alzheimer's unit.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll tell you what, it just brought so much joy to
They probably
people.
thought it was a relative coming to visit them.
Who's that gray-haired girl over there? But they would sit and pet her, and she was happy, because she was getting all the love, and it was, just that connection.
And the studies, I mean, the way that dogs can, even just by petting them or connecting with their eyes or something else, and that's a point that you bring up that I didn't really even think of, that during COVID, the therapy dogs were pulled also just for precautionary sakes, because a lot of people, even people that maybe weren't dog people or they didn't have dogs in their house because one of the spouses, didn't care that much, dogs bring some sort of healing energy to the table sometimes, especially when they're well-mannered, like Flip-Flop is, that you really can't replace with anything else. No drug out there is going to do it, and humans for sure can't do it.
And we've tried, trust me. I was thinking that you should have a working dog section in there.
I should.
Police dogs, the sport dogs, detection dogs. Little
We've
stories about
done
that.
a few articles like that, but we really should. That could be a good constant
section.
work like a dog story.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't know that they were going to have a business meeting on the podcast, but Scott really is coming up with a lot of good options. His brain always does this, no matter what we're talking about.
It's when you have to do the work part, that's when my brain starts to fade away from the hard work.
So where do you advertise? I know you're in some grocery stores. What are some other places that you go
for
to?
distribution?
Yes.
Well, the distribution company puts them in the grocery stores
Okay.
and different racks, and then I distribute about 2,500 to 3,000 on my own.
Okay.
So I go to lots, just kind of the hot spots in the coastal towns.
Yeah.
Restaurants,
Building connections
salons,
again, yeah.
Wine and cheese stores, just where there's going to be the right audience.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I like, too, that maybe gives this personal connection more of a presence in your business is, like, she'll come and drop magazines off at our house. We hadn't met her prior because we started advertising during COVID, and Scott and I
they were never home when I came by.
we're not always home. But that gives you a real personal connection also with your advertisers. That, here's your distribution and keeping that, rather than just, the magazine arrived, like, here we go. And we get a certain amount. We'll bring them to the cigar studio sometimes, leave them out so, people smoking cigars can see. So it gives that more personal touch that I think a lot of businesses lack, and that we also try to have integrity with, especially with our in-person business.
Your clients, your partners in it.
And we're all humans, and the more we're treating each other like that, the more appreciative it is from all ends, and the happier we are.
It's kind of new to me. This
it is
being social.
It is a new concept to Scott, but I'll tell you, he loves it. If somebody sends him a text and he's like, "Oh, I really helped that person," Scott's the first person to be like, "Babe, the person I saw yesterday at 10 just wrote me that, like, everything's going great." Like, we need more of that, because we're just going so hands off and technology based and everything else that we're losing a lot of that connection.
I write a lot of I hope I wrote one to you guys. I write a lot of personal.
I didn't hear
thank you
anything
notes.
from you. I'm just kidding.
You're going to get one now. But I do. I try to write a lot of personal notes.
No, it's true. But that also, it not only keeps us in the loop, but it's part of the intent of the whole publication, I would say, kind of changes because of the way you approach it, which is awesome.
And the other thing, which is really fun, like when I go out and distribute the magazine when it comes out, I'll go in places and people will literally clap going, oh, we've been waiting for the next issue of Seacoast Bark. I'm like,
You're like a
wow.
celebrity.
Is this the Alzheimer's unit?
Yay, the magazine's here.
No, people like their dog stuff. That's for damn sure. So what about the biggest challenge? What has your biggest challenge been, you think, on your journey?
Well, my biggest challenge is just me, and I love the creative process, but I should be out cold calling more. And and this year's made it hard, too, because you didn't want to leave your house. So the biggest challenge is to find more people to bring on board with the magazine, because it is complimentary.
Yeah.
So I pay all the design and printing costs up front, and people like my partners, like you guys, is how I make the revenue. So I need to bring more people on board.
Yeah. Well, I will say we were so impressed that we weren't cold called. We flat out, I wrote Nancy, I'm like, how can we get in on this stuff? We like it. But it's
You
true
did.
because there's different presence with different
You're
things
going to
that
have
you
now
see.
like an annual Seacoast Bark Festival. And
Yes.
We can have it here at Dave's, Two Guys Smoke Shop. We're all
We can
set.
all smoke and drink. And
Bring the dogs. They're open to anything here.
we were going to do a mutt mixer with SPCA, and then COVID hit. So we were doing that with Allen Wayside Furniture, and so that got put on hold. But we should be doing a Seacoast Bark
Well,
Festival.
community is important, and people talk about all this
We gotta
crap,
talk.
but it matters.
I'm ready to do it as long as there's going to be drinking and smoking.
I have my new consultant. I'm all set. Now our staff is
Don't build him up too much, Nance. You've only spent 21 minutes with him.
I could create all kinds of work for you to do.
Yeah, he's a good idea generator. That's for darn sure. So what is your craziest story, I'd say, that you published as far as like just out there, like left field, caught everybody off guard, your readers? Do you have any crazy things?
Crazy stories. I don't know. Well, I actually wrote one about a friend of mine who had a mobile grooming salon. And one day she called me on a Saturday and said, my assistant's not here, can you go help me? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'd love to. And I went on this mobile grooming thing for what seemed like 5 months, and it was about 6 hours. And it was the worst day of my life.
It's
This is
interesting.
the dog industry.
Oh my God!
honest to God.
Like I'd see a Newfoundland. I'm like, oh my God, a Newfoundland! That more hair. I can dry my hair in less than 5 minutes. It takes 45 minutes to dry a dog's hair.
That's just the paw on a Newfoundland.
Oh, it was just.
Well,
I got home and I was
it's funny
like,
you say that because we had a groomer on, and she said after she did her first day of grooming, she knew that was what she wanted to do for the rest of her life.
God
And I
bless
thought,
her
is she
heart.
crazy? There's something wrong with her.
it was.
I can identify with it's really nice to see a dog get clean, okay? It really is. And there's less poop picking up in grooming than dogs, but
There
it's
is
true.
poop picking up in grooming, though. I saw firsthand.
But it is true, and this is it's
Shit
kind
happens.
Here he goes with his taglines. It's this like weird facade that people think like, oh, you're dog trainers, you just roll around on the ground and play
must
with
be
puppies.
wonderful.
Yeah, but like there's legitimately like working hands-on with dogs can be stressful.
Physically
Yes,
and
it can be
physical.
stressful. Yes, exactly. I know. We got to get him
And the
lifted.
people that
He's gonna
pay
be
us
60.
to work with their dogs, they are so relieved that somebody can actually deal with them because the dogs are so much work. It's not that
And
it's
they
just a big
can't.
party.
Yeah. Well, and rightfully so. Maybe they've had some other trainers and stuff. So I'm glad that you had that hands-on experience to impart because it is a little different than a magazine with dogs versus I'm going to be bathing 8 dogs today and cutting their nails and dealing with the owners. It's a whole different ballgame.
Oh my God! And you guys work hard physically.
Yeah, I would say
Well,
so.
I do. I got to-
just lines up the podcasts.
Yeah, no, it is more of a physical hands-on job than you think because even if you're not dealing with an unruly large dog, a dog that has no training that's 30 or 40 pounds can be powerful. You know, your dog is well behaved. We've had a lot of guests on the show. Not all dogs can just lay on the floor and rest and be well behaved when they come in. And yeah, it is a little bit physical, but we enjoy what we do, similar to what you enjoy what you do. And I think, like you were talking about, just the relationship with the clients, it's important to us. It's not a make it or break it. Like if an advertiser loses or leaves you, it's not like, oh, the whole magazine's going to be screwed up and I'm heartbroken. But the people that work, similar to kind of how we fit into this community here, I would say with this podcast, when it works, it just feels good on
Yes,
every angle.
it
just
does feel good.
The receivers, the givers, we got our freaking cups now. Thank you, Chrissy. Like, this community, it's important. The more you can build community and a successful community with like-minded people, the more success you're going to have.
And the connection is we all love dogs. So you're working with dog lovers. I'm working with dog lovers.
Yeah.
Some of my very first clients, Alan Wayside Furniture and Bourneville Jeep, they've been with me from day one and wonderful. And I've made some really good friends out of this business.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice.
it really is.
Nice. It is
People
nice.
say, like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I just spread good news.
I'm the joy spreader.
I share happy news because that's what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't say,
Yeah.
I publish a magazine. I'm like, I spread happy news.
Yeah, no, and it's true. And anything with dogs, whether you're young, or old or, middle-aged, dogs are great. And most people have dogs now. But just because you don't have a dog doesn't mean you don't still enjoy dogs. Maybe you have enough forethought to know that you don't have the time to dedicate to a dog.
Exactly.
It's a lot of work with these people that are, getting out of professional degrees and they're both working all the hours. Sometimes it's more trouble than it's worth to add a dog into that mix and everything else. They wait a few years until maybe they have a family and they have more time for a dog because it takes up a lot of work.
Well, now also, you guys have probably been hearing this too, with all the dogs that were rescued during COVID, and now people are going back to work,
And they're giving them all back.
they're giving them back. Some of them.
Best time to get a puppy is right when you've had a newborn. That's the best.
So there's just tons of shit
Yeah.
every day.
Yep.
He's joking. He's joking. I will say, a rehab vet in Woburn, Mass. one time did say to me, like, this is going to be easy. I'm going to get a burner puppy, and it's going to be the same time in my maternity leave. And I saw her about 2 months in, and she was like, that little thought process I thought didn't work out well. So, yeah. No, but really, anytime, even if you're not a dog person, I love picking up this magazine. And again, apparently I need to do more reading than just leafing through and looking at pictures. But if you are thinking about doing this anywhere, if you do have some copywriting experience, because many people are very talented writers,
And reach
they
out
just don't know where to channel it.
Right, and reach out to me. I mean, I figured it out. I had never done a magazine
Yeah.
before.
Where can people find you? I'll put it in our show notes too. Your email is easiest?
Do you have a website?
Yeah, seacoastbarkmagazine.com.
Okay,
That would
good.
probably
All right,
help,
I'll
yeah.
put it in the show notes too. So yeah, if you guys have questions or if you're interested in getting on board or advertising or whatever, your
Learning
Hannaford
more.
doesn't carry it and we need to complain to them, let us know. And now that I know about the distribution company, I'm going to make sure the Dover one has the newest issue because I didn't see it the other day. So now I got to double check.
Where?
At Hannaford. Now I got to double check because now it's on the distribution company, not Nance. All right, I'm going to put the URL. Oh, my pen just popped right up. I'm going to put the URL in the show notes. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that we haven't touched on?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I have a meeting with Scott after this for a little brainstorming.
I'll
and
send you the invoice for his consulting fee.
my new consultant. No, it was great, you guys. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you so much for
Thanks.
coming
Yeah,
on.
nice
And
to
guys,
have you on.
seriously, if you're not familiar with it, check out Seacoast Bark, especially if you live in the Seacoast area of Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. Have a great week. See you next Wednesday, and keep it quirky.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.